Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Thursday, April 18th, 2024, and we are here in the Java Cafe. We have two segments this morning. We are speaking first with a friend and sister, Ava Concepcion, who is the acting chair of the Cannabis Control Commission here in Massachusetts. And then a longtime friend, Denella Clark, is coming in from the Boston Arts Academy Foundation to talk about their scholarship program. So for those of you that are interested in the economic advantages and benefits, those of you that may consume, those of you that just want to know what's going on in the world of weed and cannabis, we're going to find out in just a few minutes. We know Saturday is approaching. There's a lot of social media activity, events and activities. I got invited to an event, VIP, and so let's go ahead and bring our commissioner in this morning.
I want to hear more about this event. Tell me more.
Listen, good. Oh, wait a minute. I just noticed you're wearing red this morning.
I am. I know the color scheme for Java with Jimmy, so I said, you know, we put on a little red.
Okay, come on with the little red. But yes, we know that 420 is national or international cannabis day or whatever. And in all seriousness, first of all, let me back up and say, how are you doing? The last time we talked, and shout out to Brandon, we were on location. We're back in the virtual space now. But last time we talked, there was just some things going on. You're still the remaining acting chair.
Still acting chair. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so anything you want to update us on about that before we get into some of the impact of the great work that the commission is doing to bring about equity and diversity in this space that for so many years was so much inequity.
Mm-hmm. And to a certain extent, there still is. So I will get to that.
Let's go.
I feel like, you know what, when you just said that, I was trying to think of when the last time was when I spoke with you, because it feels like it was right when I became the acting chair.
It was in the transition, right? Absolutely.
So it was last fall. So I've been acting chair since September, but I've been a commissioner since 2021. But I continue to be the current, acting chair, leader of the Cannabis Control Commission. And I think I broke this down the last time too, that there is a separate process outside the Cannabis Control Commission. So there is a suspended chair and the appointing authority is still going through their process. But while that happens, we can't stop the work, and we haven't stopped the work. So, we're still continuing. And, the biggest thing that was happening at that time was a change to the law. It was the equity law that was passed and we were implementing, called Chapter 180. So we've gone through some extensive changes internally and with host communities just to make sure that the industry as a whole here in the Commonwealth is more equitable and there are more opportunities for people.
It's so interesting. You said something, and it wasn't verbatim, but just that there was an opportunity to influence a law that would increase and enhance more of the diversity. And I don't find it surprising at all that the timing of this, and this is my opinion, not the commissioners, that the timing of this is just very interesting. And so thank you for the update. If you want to give an update on that law or things that are coming up, anything, listen, the time is yours, ma'am.
But it's all baked into today's conversation. Yes. So that's the thing. If we're talking about equity in cannabis, you can't talk about that without also talking about where we were, where we are, and sort of the trajectory of where things are going. And luckily, it's going in a place that many people have advocated for, fought for. So there are extensive changes across the board. And that is, no small part due to not only the commission, but like the advocates who've been doing this for years,
Yes.
well before we had Question 4 passed and legalization. So there's a lot of work that's been going on to get to this point.
Okay. I think a lot of us know where we've been. Absolutely. I'm glad that, a result of where we've been in some cases, is intentional effort to have folks like you and myself to be involved in making the law. And so let me just ask you straight, where are we?
Yeah. Where are we? So I'll tell you a couple of things. Massachusetts, and this is a thing that we always pride ourselves on, is a leader across the board on several different things. And even when it comes to cannabis. So we're seeing that, there's a large conversation happening nationally around legalization. What does that look federally? And people continue, other states, other jurisdictions continue to seek us out because of the way that we have created this regulated industry. But one of those big things is we were the first in the country to have equity as a mandate carved into the law. So that's something that before I even became a commissioner, that's, we talked about that across the board, equity, that's part of the law. But then I got onto the commission and you start looking at, okay, what does that mean? I understand we have this, but what are the numbers saying and who's actually receiving these opportunities? And there's been work around that. So we realized that even though there was a state mandate, there wasn't a requirement at the local level.
I remember you clarified that for us when the last time.
The law. So that was the big thing. So before you could even get to us at the state level, so you need to come before the Cannabis Control Commission before anyone can be licensed.
Yep.
But before you can even get before my eyes and I can go through your application, you have to go through, Boston's process, Watertown or whatever. You have to go through that local process. And some places were doing it really well in terms of equity and making sure that, you're recognizing how this industry was built and who needs to be a part of the industry, and some not so much. Mm-hmm. So that made it difficult. Access to capital was huge, continues to be a huge barrier. But before Chapter 180, that law, there was no fund. So now we have the Social Equity Trust Fund. That's something that we've been really, really vocal about because we know that for people who don't have access, because it's not federally legalized, you don't have access to traditional banking,
loans and support. Yep.
You don't. So for people who do happen to have, if you have savings, if you have people who are willing to give you large chunks
inheritance.
Of cash, yep, you got it. You are able to build up and do it in a way that is, you can take advantage of those opportunities. But we know that when it comes to equity, when it comes to communities of color, when it comes to those communities that we talk about who've been harmed women or on drugs, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. That is where you see that discrepancy. So just now, because of Chapter 180, we have the Social Equity Trust Fund, and there have been funds recently just given out and granted to a lot of people who are deserving and need that to be able to thrive in this industry.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, just for clarity's sake, and folks understand and make sure I got it right as well. Chapter 180 is the chapter in the law as a result of the favor toward Question 4 in the legalization. So Chapter 180 is where at the time you became acting commissioner, there was some legal jargon going on in that space, correct?
So I'll break this down a little bit. And Jimmy, stop me, because I know sometimes I can go into the weeds on things. So let me
okay. But no, we need to get this understanding because of so much of the inequities, and this is the purpose of the platform, awareness and information. Let's go.
So cannabis was legalized years ago here in the Commonwealth. Chapter 180 is something that just recently happened. So that happened not last year, the year before it was passed.
Okay.
And then we had to create new regulations last year for it. But even before then, there was work to get that law passed. I came from the state house. I worked on laws and legislation. And when I got to the Cannabis Control Commission, it was evident that we needed to do a more organized job of communicating to the state house about the changes that needed to happen so that the landscape changed here in cannabis and that people got more opportunities. So one of the things that I spearheaded was our executive and legislative outreach strategy. It's a long title, but it essentially said, listen, let's all get in a room.
Yep.
Let's all, get public facing, and as a unit, as a commission, say, listen, we know these are the problems. HCAs, access to capital.
What are HCAs?
Host community agreements. So those are those agreements that happen at the local level before you can even set up shop or apply for us.
Yep, gotcha.
So we knew, because people communicate with us all the time. They're saying, listen, we're running into these problems. It was very, very well aware, but the commission wasn't speaking in one voice to say, listen, we need this change. So that was a lot of the groundwork. And I got to commend Chair Donahue of the Cannabis Committee, and at that point, the co-chair was Chair Sonia Chang Diaz. And they got in the room at the State House. And so it's they're moving pieces, but we all had to kind of work together to push things through. I know you know. So that is why, and Chapter 180 was the largest, most comprehensive. It was the first real substantial change that we've had to the cannabis industry since the passage of Question 4 and the creation of the commission. Okay. And that took years. It was years in the making. And now we're seeing, we have to change because the law requires us to change. And I know I talked a little bit before about the suitability changes, which is something I was screaming about internally and also just talking about a lot throughout my work. That was a part of Chapter 180 to make sure that there are more opportunities for people who have criminal records, because it's a catch-22 to have this industry and not understand that the very people who should be a part of it are the ones who've already been working here. And they have the most skills. If we're talking about who's been harmed by the war on drugs, it's counterintuitive to not then have a space and opportunity for them. And I know a lot of people were not happy with me vocalizing that and talking about that.
Listen, but I love the way that you framed it. You said for those that have already been, because it's a reality.
Because it's a reality. So it's not, and even, Governor Healy recently, the marijuana pardons that just went down, historic. But it symbolized so much. And it is a formal acknowledgement of the fact that these were harms. These were things that were done that should not have been done. And now we need to rectify that. So it's becoming a normal conversation, which is great. And now it's being amplified. But there's a lot of changes and pressure points, and everyone isn't always on that same path or that same thought process, but it also makes a difference when you have people in the room who understand the work and know what they're doing.
I thank you for that. This is sort of an off-the-cuff question based on something you last said. I got the opportunity to speak with, I forgot who I was talking with about reparations a couple of weeks ago, and they were breaking down the difference of redress versus actual money. From your purview, do you see where there may be some demonstration of the work in the reparations based on what we just talked about of those that have been in the industry? Do you see some influence from the reparations conversation coming into this space?
I think
I did say, in all fairness to our audience, this was off the cuff, but based on something you said, I had a thought, so I had to ask.
I think that's a good question, and I think it's hard to separate the two. It's hard to separate the two because when we talk about equity, when we talk about even the way that we identify disproportionately impacted areas, so those areas that have been harmed by the war on drugs, those requirement of resources going to those communities, that's all reparative action. That's all a part of that. But I think when people hear that term, they kind of turn off before they kind of dig into it to really understand what that means.
They hear terms like reparations, diversity, inclusivity, equity. Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner, I want to make sure, is there anything that's coming down the pike that where with Tara and folks won't get you for sure. Shout out to Tara and the comms team at the commission. But is there anything?
Love the comms team.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, they keep us together. What is going on? We talked about where we are.
Mhm.
Where are we going? Where are
I
we
think, well, first, the main thing I know I want to get across today with
Yes.
your audience is we have the social equity program and the application deadline.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
So that's the biggest thing.
And turned away from my notes. Go ahead, man.
So April 30th is the deadline. Really important for anyone who's thinking about getting involved in cannabis. And, the criteria is if you are someone who lives or has lived in one of those DIAs, there's 30 areas that we've identified.
DIA is disproportionately impacted areas?
Exactly. And we have it on our website too, where people can
I'm getting ready to put that into. Yep.
So you would qualify if you have a prior conviction, if you are the spouse of someone with a conviction, or if you are the child of someone who has had a conviction in the past, then you would qualify. And what this means is you get access to, technical training, you have some waivers and fees, but I think the biggest thing that people talk about is you also get exclusive access to certain license types. So the delivery license is only available to those who've gone through this program. Social consumption is something that is in the works. Commissioner Camargo and Commissioner Stebbins are leading that effort. But again, that's an exclusive license that will only be available to the people who've been able to go through that program. So it's important, it's vital, and it's an opportunity. And even if you don't want to be licensed, let's say you just want to work in the industry, or if you want to do an ancillary service. So that's something that people don't recognize so much.
What are some examples of those? Yeah, come on.
So there's a large landscape of businesses that help cannabis businesses. So if you are HR, but you do HR for cannabis establishments, if you are a plumber, an electrician, an accountant, this is a program that you want to get a part of, because you then have the ability and the opportunity to work with these cannabis businesses. And it's called the ancillary track.
What is marketing in there? Social
marketing
media?
is in there. Marketing is in there. Social. Okay, Jimmy.
So at this event on Saturday, thank you for that information, because that gives me a different lens in which to have a conversation as I'm sitting there.
And a lot of people don't recognize, this is also the thing. And when I talk about people with criminal records, because this has been something. So
Yes.
There's still a barrier. If you have a felony on your record, you can't own a licensed establishment. That's under law in the
Yes.
Commonwealth.
Yep.
But if you are an ancillary business, that restriction does not apply. You're still able to do that and then work in this industry, but not. It's like you're working adjacent to the cannabis.
Working adjacent. I love that. So thank you for that information. I need to go ahead and figure now. That is the date applicable to me too for April 30th. If I want to say, hey, I have a platform, we got Java After Dark. Want to talk, about different things or whatever, I need to apply in that. So let me just bring this up on screen real
You
quick.
need to apply, and you should apply.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just saying. And even if you're there and you're just taking the classes, those classes are helpful. Like, you will just learn a lot about how the dynamics of the industry,
Gotcha.
how people are moving in this space, and then also the increased opportunities that are happening too. So it changes. This curriculum and this cohort will get more. There's different trainings here in light of the changes to the industry. So you'll have those delivery courses. There's advanced courses, and it will continue to evolve based on what we're hearing back from people.
Okay. And these are the areas in which it's encouraging us to apply. Social equity program is the specific one where the application is due on April 30th. If you live in a DIA area, which is disproportionately impacted areas, basically the areas where they there was that inequitable, quote unquote, war on drugs. And so the application, I have it here. You can go there if you're doing a screenshot. Also, if you're in the comments, you're able, it's hyperlinked in the comments as well. If you are interested at all in going into this industry, then you definitely want to go to this website and make sure that you check it out and do it before April 30th. Commissioner, is there any type of technical assistance, any similar to what they do with RFPs? Are there info sessions which people can attend and find out, get some advice or just ask questions about the application and the process?
Yes. So it's a tour happening now. The CCC team, we've gone through so many different, it's been 6 so far.
Okay.
One in Boston, that was in Dudley.
Okay.
Nubian Square.
I would say something, but I'm not going to get in trouble this morning, but we'll just say that we've been impactful for a little while. Dudley versus Nubian. Yes, ma'am. Gotcha.
So it's been spread out across the Commonwealth. There's one coming up, and the team is going to kill me.
No. I'm on the site. Let me go to resources and see if it's in there.
Let me look, I want to tell people. I want to tell people.
Commissioner, I do this all the time. I'll come up with the idea and download the video and fix it, and like right here on the show. And so for those of you that just joining as our commissioner is looking up the date.
Here it is. Holyoke Community College. It's on Monday, April 22nd.
Roxbury Community College, Monday, April 22nd.
No. Holyoke.
Holyoke.
Holyoke is the next one, and then let's see if there's another.
Holyoke, HOLY, KE,
and it's at 5 p.m.
Okay, Holyoke, info session. Now, if y'all really serious, y'all take a nice little drive out to Holyoke. At 5.
We've had some though. It's the Cannabis Control Commission represents the entire state.
Yeah,
and it does a number on the mileage on my car. I will say that. But we intentionally go all across the state to make sure we're accessible and people can come to these sessions.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. Commissioner, we're getting ready to cross over with someone who I presume you know, Denella Clark.
I do. I love Denella. So
she's in a second. Knowing her, she's probably handling some business on the phone or securing a bag for the young people, and then she'll look down and say, "Oh my God, I gotta log in." I really appreciate you coming into the space and keeping us updated about what's going on. Is there, and there she is right there, we're getting ready to bring her in. Is there any advice, in all seriousness, Commissioner, and I know that presumably you all promote people to consume wisely and things like that. It's 420 weekend. Is there any advice you want to give to just the general public? And again, in real time, there was some couple of within the past year, some young people got a hold of edibles and whatnot. What is it that you would say from a very layman sort of safety perspective around consumption and just this weekend of celebrating, but doing it wisely? And we're going to bring in our Denella Clark while you close us out, and we'll let you both say hello to each other.
I think the biggest thing that I will say, and there is Denella. Hello, beautiful. I love Denella.
Congratulations, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Madam President. But the one thing I will say to answer your question.
Hold on. That was just so beautiful. These two queens in the space celebrating one. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
The difference with the regulated market, I will just amplify and recommend, if you are a consumer, to get regulated product, because that is the safest thing you can do for yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And there was this whole thing about being laced and
so that's a big deal. That's a big deal. We track everything. There's testing requirements. We do not, and we don't have authority to look through things that are not part of the regulated market. So that is sort of an enter at your own risk. That's the one thing I will say, is just, you also know the dosage, you know what you're getting. Yep. There's a difference. So I would just amplify that.
And for those that are still, how am I going to frame this? For those that are still, as you said, that have been in the business and been here, give serious thought from moving from sort of street farm and to legalize where there are these resources and support. I can't reiterate enough. If you're thinking about getting into this industry, and Madam President, please forgive if I brought our president in around this conversation. So just if you're thinking about getting into business, so you can make a donation to the Boston Arts Academy Foundation. Go to the website.
Is that does the Boston Arts Academy Foundation accept those funds? Because some foundations don't. So that's why I wanted to ask.
Interesting. We're learning things today.
You know, it's cannabis is almost sort of like the lottery. A lot of people will say gambling and all of this stuff is not good, but the fact of the matter is our brand new school building, which is through the Mass School Building Authority, the money that builds school building comes from the lottery and from gambling. I don't know if you all know that. And our great treasurer, Deb Goldberg, who oversees the Cannabis Commission, she actually oversees the lottery. And guess what? She also oversees the Mass School Building Association. And so the foundation is independent 501c3. And so to me, anything that's happening in the Commonwealth to serve the public good and to help advance the public good, like education, is something that we should all be contributing to. So that's where lottery dollars go. If we want to go back to decades and decades when even alcohol wasn't legal, I mean, who would ever think that we would be here in 2024 and marijuana is legal? There's all sorts of things. And so if that's part of now the global economy, the Massachusetts economy, then yes, that money should be also donated to education. And I would hope maybe I have to give my good friend Deb Goldberg a call, since she oversees all of these things. I think it's great to put it back into philanthropy.
I think that makes sense. And I know I have to jump, but
go ahead.
Cannabis is now, just in the state, it's a $6 billion industry. So it's a thriving, substantial portion of the revenues being generated in the Commonwealth. And I think there is a bigger conversation that needs to happen around the economic gains and the opportunities within it. So I will stop there because I know, I want Denella to have the space. She is phenomenal. And I will be listening, but I don't want to take up all this time.
I want to thank both of you and Denella, thank you so much for that transition. And I was really going in a space where some of our folks that are in the business can also, if possible, reach out if they wanted to make, donations to the foundation. It was sort of a way to cover, because I realized what we were talking about. But Madam President, that transition there, and listen, Commissioner, thank you so much for being with us today. We're available, and might see you around.
Yeah. Have a safe 420, everyone.
Yes, and good to see you.
You too, Denella. Bye.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Bye. Madam President, can I just say, because we know things in spaces of proper communicating and whatnot. Madam President, Jesus. Welcome again to the Java Cafe this morning. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations to you also for placing on the Boston Magazine top number people that are working hard in the community, along with others in the community. And so congratulations to you for that great achievement. But it one of the things that contributes to you being there is most recently your great work. We heard from you a few weeks ago about the production. So let's go in this order. Say hello, greet the folks again, update us about the production in the awards event, and then tell us why we're here today to talk about a lot of the impact as the result of the work that you do.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for having me back, and congratulations to you. I listened to your show yesterday, and I do agree that it is a nod. You and I have a deep history. We work together at DEMIC and have been doing work for many, many years. So it is a nod, and it's nice to be included on that list among some phenomenal leaders of all colors, all backgrounds, just really doing incredible work. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And again, I'm happy to be here. We had our big champions event back on March 21st. We honored my dear friend and sister in service, Dr. Aisha Miller. We honored our board member, Hector Piña, two people that I believe are really civic giants and civic icons and really don't get the love and their flowers for all of the work that they do. And what really was phenomenal to us as a staff, traditionally, James, we honor elected officials, and normally we raise 100,000. When this thing started, we probably raised 40,000. By honoring Hector and Aisha, we raised over $250,000. And more important than that, what I really marveled at was the outpouring of love and support for both of them. I mean, you had former Mayor Danny Rivera celebrating Hector. You had former mayor and our former Secretary of Labor, Marty Walsh, on a video celebrating Aisha.
Yep.
You had Big Papi David Ortiz talking about Hector. You had Bishop Dickerson talking about Aisha. When I saw the outpouring and just the people who wanted to be there, I mean, we had it at the Foundation Room, no pun intended, House of Blues. I mean, the room was packed wall to wall. And I said to my staff, I said, we're really onto something. As much as we love our elected officials who are doing really good work, people really wanted to be there for these two people. And we produced a compilation video. Of course, now we're on to our next big event, which is October 17th. But we're going to be rolling that out because it was just so heartwarming for me. And I know for the two of them to hear from people who really believe and value and see the work that each of them do day in and day out. So it's really great to be talking about this on the day that the list comes out. Somebody said to me, how did Aisha and Hector get picked? Was it a group or a committee? And, as the Bible says, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I've been doing the work a long time. And so I picked the list, just like I'm sure whoever picked the list for the Boston Magazine Most Influential, that's how the list is picked. But we were just thrilled to honor the two of them. And the raise was just absolutely so powerful and so incredible. And I have to shout out a member of our board. She's a fairly new member. She's been on just coming up into her first year, Rania Simmons. Don't forget that name.
Oh,
and Rania, if you're watching, Rania and Omar Simmons, Rania's on our board. She chairs our nominating and governance. And let me tell you, Rania took the stage during intermission.
Did she sing?
Yeah, she sang a little, but she asked people, we're trying to raise $250,000 for the Boston Arts Academy class of 2024. What a special class they are. Remember, the class of 2024 was the first class hit
with the pandemic.
And Jimmy, I got to tell you, many people know I lost my beloved mother on June 26, 2023. And Rania, I asked her, sort of like how we do in church, if she would take the stage and ask people for a donation for the class of 24. And she did two things that was just so moving and surprising. She and Omar led with a $25,000 donation. And then she turned to me and she said, Denella, I want this scholarship to be in your mother's name, Pastor Pearline James. She said, as a board member, we see you, we see what you're doing, we see how you've persevered, how you've continued to work through even losing your mom. And so that was just so powerful to me that they would put up $25,000 for the class of 2024. and then make the scholarship in my mother's name. So, and all of that came out of the Champions event. And that evening, when Rainier took the stage, we then raised another $31,000 from people just raising their hand and saying, put me down for this, put me down for that. It was just really, really incredible. And so it was just really, really great.
Hold on, Dr. Miller's in the room. She's commenting on the other segment, but we just want to acknowledge her in the room. And there's only, I'll do this one. She said, Ava, I won't put the other comment up. But so Denella, I'm going to say, Madam President, let me just highlight a couple of things that I heard there while we and it's so funny that we're in a space of balance. While we recognize the great work of the electeds, and I just really had a thought that I got to keep my emotions together. The recognition of the electeds is great. That's what we elect them to do. That's what our tax dollars actually, they're doing their job when they do that. However, a lot of times in spaces when awards are given and things like that, Dr. Miller, I'm sure the space in which you recognize her, yes, she was in government. Yes, she was a PO. Yes, she does all this other stuff, but it's more probably, and she'll kill me, but there's a lot of stuff that Aisha does that folks don't know about. And so Hector as well, donations and whatnot. And so where I'm going with this is around what you said that Rainier, first of all, let me go back. I do know her. Rainier and I started out at Grace Community Church at 114 Southern Ave when I was like 14 years old. So we recently reconciled at the Ellie Fund thing. And so I could just see how that all happened. But what I'm getting to is that community sort of recognition brings in a different cadence when you're raising. It's just I heard that when you said that, that's a huge difference of an average of usually 100,000, and then and then you get to $250,000. That's double. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want to raise that about the importance. A few months ago, somebody told me I was getting ready to go a different way, and I have electeds in a lot, and they tapped me on the shoulder and they said, it's you go back to the origin of what Java was in community. And so I just needed to name that because I had the thought, because that stood out. You went from 100,000 to $250,000, and thank the Simmons, Rainier, and Omar for that donation, for leading that. And also let's honor Mother Denella. I have a whole mother's board in here. And so I would be honored that when we do things, we'll figure out how to do it, that we're going to make her an honorary member. She was a pastor.
Yeah. And
so Ma and Sharon and the rest of y'all, we'll figure out how we do that. But just in honor of who she produced and the legacy in which is embedded in you, we definitely want to do that and dedicate that to you. And I
want to, while you're on mothers, and I see my brother Conan Harris is in the room, and I was happy to watch his segment yesterday. While we're on that, and as we're getting ready for Mother's Day, my heart is pretty heavy. So this is going to be. This announcement is the first here today. So my mother.
What with all due, I'm sorry.
How dope, Pastor.
Go ahead.
So many people know Ayanna Presley and I have been sisters for over a quarter of a century. A lot of people don't know that. I did Ayanna's first fundraiser when she ran for city council at Lodge. We've been rocking for a long time. And Ayanna lost her mother 12 and a half years ago to blood cancer. I lost my mother to a blood cancer. And my mother had a catering company called Loving Spoonful. And Conan and Ayanna, have a property directly across the street from my parents' house. So they got to engage and see my parents quite often. The day after my mother's second service, of which my sister was at both services, my sister eulogized my mother on the floor of Congress. She came to me. This was her idea. She came to me and she said, Denella, many people have asked me over the years, and I've never wanted to do this with anyone. She said, but I think we need to start a fund in honor of our mothers. And she said, let's call it Loving, without the G, Gestures Fund. So I happen to be talking to another good sister friend, Bathia Carter, who has Given Black. I said, Bathia, Ayanna and I are pretty busy. We don't want to set up our own 501c3 unless we get there. So I am pleased to share, after going through ethics and getting everything cleared, that Mother's Day weekend, we will launch a digital campaign entitled the Presley James Loving Gestures Fund. And this fund is going to be exclusively dedicated to caregivers. As daughters, we know how difficult it was to be the healthcare proxy, to do all of that stuff. And this is going to be sort of like a make-a-wish, right? The only criteria, we don't care if you're black, white, blue or green, young or old, rich or poor. Really, the only criteria is that you must be taking care of an immediate family member. And James, so if it comes a time you have to take care of your mom and you're like, the PJ Loving Gesture Fund, I want to go play golf for the weekend, we'll go send you to play golf. You need a spa day. That's what our fund is going to be for. It's going to be for caregivers. So everybody out there, stay tuned. We will be starting with a digital campaign over Mother's Day weekend. And then Ayana's mother transitioned July 1st. My mother transitioned June 26th. So we've got to stay away from our brother Conan's birthday. Everybody, Conan's birthday is July 13th, but we're going to do something probably in the month of July where we will put up a physical event. And James certainly can use your support as we roll that out, because we really want this to be for the community at large. So the Presley James Loving Gestures Fund for caregivers. And I'm just so excited about that, and so excited that Ayana and I will do this together as a way to honor our mothers' legacies and to take our pain, really to turn our pain into purpose and to help others.
So Denella, just as much as I gave you credit for messaging and talking and calm stuff, you just messed me up real quick. And so one, thank you for announcing and sharing that here. I think it's so apropos. Both of you are my sisters that I've known for a very long time. I think between the three of us, we probably got, if not 60 to 75 years between the three of us of knowing each other. And so when that gets ready to roll out, please let us know. And we would definitely love to support that, because
and I want to thank Angela Johnson, who's working with Bethia Carter, and Bethia Carter, some on AP's alumni team is helping us. And I have to say too, because we have no respect of person, I also have to thank Regan Communications Group and George Regan. They're going to roll out the press release. They created the logo for us, and they've just done so much to help us to move this along. And Giving Black, Bethia's company, will serve as the fiscal agent. So we're excited to help others.
It's we got a couple of folks in here. Pops Davis, who, Anthony Davis, who's part of the Presley team, as a caregiver of someone disabled with MS and a recent mini stroke survivor. He would like to be involved and to help. So there's a direct connection here through Ayana's team and one of their.
Yeah, so hit AP up. Let's get us on here when we could come on when we could come on together and talk about it a little bit more.
The Davis system, y'all heard that, so we'll make sure we get that taken care of. One other thing, and President Clark, Madam President, that we come from the same cut of cloth, and you had mentioned Regan, and we've talked about when they get ready to roll that out, just ask them to keep in mind, if they do any advertisement, to keep the of color and spaces, not only for solicitation, but then when you get ready to do the other piece. But y'all are family. And so y'all are going to be here, and I would love to be able to host that when y'all come together. We'll do that, get you and the Congresswoman on, because as a former caregiver to my grandfather, those type of things, Madam President, even if you get away for 2 or 3 days, where you're confident the person, and you got to be confident that whose care they're left in, and also just to that time to breathe. And so thank you so much, and thank you just for all that you do in community. And we have to, this is an update about the scholarship. Is there anything else, or we'll find out in June more about this?
So the other thing I want to say is, so back to my day job. So our graduation is Monday, June 10th. The graduation is the hottest ticket in town. It's going to happen at Berklee College of Music Performance Center. And we're so pleased, BAA has the highest proportion of LGBTQ plus students. And so this year, our commencement speaker is none other than Giselle Brown, Giselle Bird, who is the new executive director here in town. I think she's the first transgender woman in the country to lead a major theater company. So the kids are excited about having her. We all know that FAFSA is a mess. We have many of our students that's getting into some phenomenal institutions. We know what that gap is. And in some cases, $3,000, $5,000 makes a huge difference. So we are actively fundraising. I would encourage people to go to bostonartsacademy.org and click the donate button. And in the memo section, you could just put that you're donating specifically for the class of 2024. So we're trying to raise as much money as we can for that. The other thing I'd love to share about the school, Jimmy, is that and want to thank the Boston Symphony Orchestra for this. You know, our kids did such an amazing job celebrating the life and legacy of Tina Turner that we've been asked, the Boston Symphony Orchestra, for the second year in a row, and I happen to be on that committee. Kudos to Barbara Hofstetter and the board there. What they did was they assembled a group of Black and Brown leaders. I'm one of them. And for the second year in a row, they have a free concert for the city where you could come and experience the Boston Symphony Orchestra. And so last year, they only did one date. They did it on a Sunday, which is tough for those of us going to church, but the concert starts at 2:00. So this year, the concert is on Sunday, May 5th. Save the date and come. They should be rolling out the tickets any day now. And then another one will be Saturday, September 21st. However, on Sunday, May 5th, our kids will be in the streets on Mass Ave with our marching, our drum major line, ushering people into the Great Symphony Hall. And then our students will also open the show with Proud Mary from the Tina Turner show. So James, I know you missed a show on March 21st, but I hope you'll come to Symphony Hall on Sunday, May 5th, as our kids do another rendition and open the BSO show on Sunday, May 5th. So these kids are just extraordinarily talented. And something that I say, particularly about our students. I was happy, James. I know your number was higher than mine, but I was just honored to be on the list. And I find grace in everything. And I said, oh, I'm number 116. You know what the number 16 in the Bible means? The number 16 in the Bible, I study numbers, means love. My granddaughter was born on the 16th day, and I call her baby love. And I often say, I love what I do because I love who I do it for, and that's the students of Boston Arts Academy. So I'm happy to be number 116 on the list, and I'm also happy to be able to try to provide opportunities, not just for Boston Arts Academy kids, but everywhere I go. And I say in the city, talent is evenly distributed, opportunity is not.
It's not. You better.
We need everybody resources to help us to make sure all 104 of our graduates have something on June 10th and that they could move forward. And as my mentor, Dr. Lee Pelton, says, we want our kids to live the life they imagine.
So, Madam President, a few things there. One is I just got to go because I love biblical numerology. I never knew about 16. And so just real quick, the combo of 16 is 10 and 6. 10 is a reset, biblically speaking. 6 is the number of man. And so you're giving these young men in the general term of humans a restart. And then if you combine 116, it comes to 8, which is the number of new beginning. If you were to combine the 10 and the 6, it becomes 7, which is God's perfect number. So, sis, just because when you said not a lot of people understand and appreciate biblical, that listen, there's some significance there. If you ever hear God call your name and say Denella, listen, you better go somewhere and answer, but hide, because when God's sorry. All right. So please go to bostonartsacademy.org. and make the donation. The other thing is right here, people are ready. And so whenever, oh my goodness, all these wonderful queens just around today. Shout out to the wonderful sister that's been in leadership also for our young people, and a supportive sister. She popped up at the anniversary and I was so surprised. She was like, yeah, I'm going to be here. So thank you so much for Miss Swain being in, Queen Swain being in the room. But there is also folks lining up whenever the website is ready. How wonderful. I lost my mom to COVID on June 8th, 2020. Is there a way to donate to the fund in honor of, and also Pops Davis, as I mentioned, wanted to be involved as well. And so Denella, you have support even before even get really.
I tell you, I learned so much from AP. She said to me, she said, oh, we're going to start with a digital campaign. And I thought I knew everything around fundraising. I said, that's a big thing. What's a digital campaign? She said, oh, we're going to
do a website, click, and a credit card.
And she said, and then we're going to have a transitional event. So we're ready to go. And I'm so grateful for her and to be in partnership with her. We're hoping that we'll be able to help many people. And as you said, just give people a respite.
Yeah.
Give people some space. And really, as I said, like make a wish.
It's so interesting. I think you can appreciate this. And I'm sure you're aware of this story before we get ready to go. I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to do some announcements for next week. And this is one of the first ones that comes up, Denella. I'm sure you're aware of Pastor Dickerson's grandson, who was dealing, and we're going to have him on Sunday evening at 7:00. And so I just, I usually close out with what's coming up next week. And that connection there, I just wanted to share that with you.
That's so wonderful, because I tell you, thanks again to my sister, Aisha Miller. Aisha asked me to meet with Queen, Bishop Dickerson's daughter. So I'm pleased to see that she's getting that off the ground, and that is happening.
She's
you do so much to spread the word for all the great work that people are doing. So thank you for your work. Thank you for your service. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And thanks for the opportunity to come back on.
Same to you, Madam President, and we'll talk soon. And we'll figure out a way how to get that certificate to you, is making Pastor James, correct?
Yep.
Pastor Pearl James, an honorary mother of the Java Cafe Mothers Ball. Listen, these women keep us covered in prayer. So
yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam President.
And a happy weekend. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. One thing I love about Denella, when she's ready to go and she's done, she's done. She won't waste no time. AJ, if you were still on and saw that quick pivot and transition, she was like, okay, I'm done. But thank all of you who are here today. Let's just go in and pay a couple of bills, as I call it, real quick. So this Sunday evening, we're doing a special Java. I'm not going to call it Java After Dark because we have a young person with us, but Swaggy T is going to be in the room. And if you have not heard, this young man has dealt with a form of cancer. I'm not going to go into the details. I'm going to let him tell his own story, but he has so much personality. And when I saw Kiana, I'm going to get in trouble. I've known her for many years, so sorry for the government, Queen. When I saw her post, it was just an instant thought to have this young man come on and tell his story. So I am so excited about that. Listen, everyone, Monday is Earth Day. Monday is Earth Day. We're excited, and we'll share more information about this next week. But we are excited to do some things, some upcoming things with the Museum of Science. And the first one is taking place. Well, actually, they've been in the Java Cafe before, but we are celebrating Earth Day with some great folks from around the world. Is coming into the Java Cafe on Monday at 9 a.m. We have some young folks that are doing great things to keep our Earth together. Let's just get 30 seconds of commentary for Earth Day. We need to be good stewards of our Earth. I threw something on the ground the other day, got so convicted, went back and picked it up. It was like a little tiny piece of paper, and I just flipped it. And I was like, oh. Recycling. Got a little bag here where I put the bags. And let me also say this. That thin plastic, don't put that in recycling. I understand that it messes it up, so throw that away. Hard bottles, paper, cardboard, all that other stuff. Plastic. So just a little extra information there for those of us that recycle. But let's pay attention to our earth and Earth Day. And so we're going to hear from some young people that are doing great work in our community. And then on Tuesday, we have Brother Nelson, CEO of Prep, who is coming in to chat with us about his program. Great young man I've met in community and seen a couple of times and is always active. So don't forget, everyone, Sunday night, a special Java with Jimmy at 7 p.m. with Swaggy T. And also on Monday, the Museum of Science will be with us. And on Tuesday, we will have Nelson with us as well. And we'll update you next week about Wednesday and Thursday. I believe that is it. This is my Friday. So thank all of you. Those of you that are on Instagram, 63 people that are watching over on Twitter. Shout out to Real Boston Media for the support and love. Thank all of you for being here today. Caught wind of something today, and I've been alluding to it. I'm not going to go into it now. I have a meeting tomorrow. I have a meeting next week. But there probably will be within the next week or so some updates that I need to bring the Java Cafe, and in the process of that, kill a couple of devils, and let you all know where we're going and what we're doing with our platform here. And so, mothers, keep me covered. Pray for my temperament. And we'll leave that right there. Okay. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. As our commissioner said, it is 420 weekend. Consume wisely if you consume. And if you consume from places where you know it's being tested and it's not laced and things like that. That's real. I know a large portion of my folks in here don't consume. Some of y'all mess with that CBD lotion and stuff, though. No, I'm messing. I'm really messing. But in all seriousness, be cognizant. If you're going somewhere to an event, Uber, that's really it for me. So again, Sunday night, 7 p.m., Monday morning at 9 a.m. And also, there's quite a few comments in here. Let's look at them. Oh, UCB. It's 10:01. I'll just leave that right there. Miss T, thank you so much. Sharon Cornelius. I wonder if there's a way to count how many times Aisha, the Dr. Miller's still here. She knows my propensity, but yeah. If anybody, and I said it, I was going to say a word with affection because she knows I love her and we rock like that. I was going to say what some may perceive as a term that may not be so complimentary, but Aisha, you know how we rock. This woman here, and we've been public. We clash at times. This is listen. All right, I'm getting off of here before I get in trouble. It is 10:01. UCB, you all get 90 minutes for your community service participation, for your points, for your gift card and whatnot. Again, thank you to our commissioner that came in. Thank you also to Denella. Surround yourself with people that are making moves and their morals and values are matched with yours, and they're having impact. Andrea, good to see you in the room as always. You have a great day as well. That's it for me, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Mothers, thank you for praying. Everybody on Instagram. Dante, what's up, brother? Dante is in the room. He's saying what's up to Denella as well over on Instagram and the folks that are over on Twitter. For those of you that are listening on Instagram and Twitter and y'all don't follow a brother, hit that follow button. Hit that retweet button when you come on as well. All right. Thank you all so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great, safe weekend, everybody. And we will see you on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. as we talk to Swaggy T. Y'all get some tissue because this brother got a testimony as we talk to Swaggy T about his testimony overcoming cancer. Have a great weekend and a great day. Be safe. All right, y'all. Peace.